All right, welcome in, hockey fans, to the Pro Hockey West Report. Where are we at, guys? It's August. Are we at like number 5 already? I mean,
This is
time is just
episode
flying
number
by.
5.
Awesome. Nick Maxon to my left, Stephen Marsh down below, Scott Strandy with you. I'm in Denver, Colorado. Stephen's in Vegas. Nick's in Minnesota. And we got you covered on pro hockey in the West. A couple things we'll do tonight. We're going to banter around a little bit, talk about some of the signings and different things that are happening in the AHL and the NHL, actually, in the West. And then we're going to break down the arenas that we cover. There's 8 of them for us this year in the AHL Pacific Division. So Nick will take 3, Stephen will take 3, and I will take 2 because I'm the old man and I can't remember that much. Anyway, so let's start off by saying, Stephen, how are you? How are things? And what's new and exciting in Las Vegas?
Well, we had a lot of monsoon rain this past week. There was some flooding in some of the casinos in Vegas and also in the city as well. But we're dry for now. But there might be some more rain in the way. But I want to say this: it's time for the Pro Hockey Report because before we start taping this, Vince Scully just got the news about Vince Scully passing away. So how about we do the show in honor of the great Dodger broadcaster Vince Scully?
Yeah, well done, well done.
Pull up a chair, as he would always say. Pull up a chair.
Nick, what's going on in Minnesota?
Well, most people don't, associate Minnesota for crazy heat as much as they don't associate Las Vegas with flooding. Today it was 97 degrees, and with a dew point in the mid 60s, the heat indices were over 105 degrees. And yes, that's even as far north here as the Twin Cities. And Scott, you've been here sometimes, and that gets oppressive, to say the least. As far as the heat and humidity, I would take 112 in dry heat where Stevens at over the 97 and the 62 to 64 degree dew points up here in the Twin Cities. We're expected to climb even higher tomorrow here, just in time for the WD League. So I'm hoping that the ice at Braemar is still frozen by the time I get there in the evening hours. So it's been pretty hot.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I'll tell you my backstory. I came from Detroit through St. Louis and Kansas City. And before I left, and you guys probably have heard the story about my Jeep already. I know Stephen has. But anyway, when I got the Jeep, they were giving me the inspection tour around, and there wasn't really anything wrong with it, except I told them, I said, there's a rock chip on the edge of the glass. And they said, oh, don't worry about the rock chips. They're fine. So I make the whole trip, almost 2,900 miles, something like that. Today, when I get to western Kansas, it is also 105 degrees actual temperature.
Oof.
And I get out and put gas on, and I squeegee the window because I've been grabbing bugs along the way. So I squeegee the window. As I squeegee the far passenger side, a crack develops about 6 to 8 inches in the glass.
Oh,
right from that very rock
no.
chip. All I did was squeegee it, but the water apparently on the hot glass caused it to crack. So now I've got like an 8 or 10 inch break in the glass, and I'm going like, man, maybe I should have been more concerned about that rock chip on the edge of the window. So we'll see when I get to see my friends at Enterprise. I've got it for a few more days, so it's not a major, but I hope they got good glass insurance because I don't want to pay for that. Anyway, so that was my story. I had a chance to watch some really good, I called it the very best 60 players ever assembled at the junior age level in Plymouth, Michigan. It was phenomenal. Unfortunately, a couple of guys, Stephen will be familiar with a Tuck name. Luke Tuck was injured on Friday. An upper body injury sent him home. He'll miss the World Junior Championships. The best player of the tournament, not only in my opinion, but even in the coach's opinion, was Aiden Thompson. He's going to be a freshman at Denver this year. He suffered a knee-on-knee injury with 6 minutes to go in the scrimmage. He was the last guy brought into the camp, and now almost the first guy out. And I still don't have an update. I've reached out to USA Hockey multiple times to get an update on his condition, but it certainly didn't look good. He could barely get off the ice. He tried to work it out on the bench, and then needed to be helped down the runway to the locker room. So it wasn't good. The additional sad part for me was he was my last interview. He was supposed to be interviewed after the game. He told them he still wanted to interview with me, and they said, no, we're not doing that. We're not going that route. So anyway, thoughts and prayers out to Aiden Thompson, and hopefully he heals up. But other news in Colorado, Cam Wright, the Denver Pioneer, the best player in the development camp for the Avalanche, I was told, signed a contract with the Colorado Eagles. So good to see Cam getting an opportunity.
How much do you think his development camp led to that contract? I mean, was it already something that was going to work on that, or did he impress him so much in development camp that they had no choice? Plus, winning a national championship with Denver helped too, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, he was good. He was good in the scrimmages. He was good on the ice in the drills. So I think it became we're signing him no matter what. But certainly his development camp didn't hurt. Let's put it that way. So anyway, congratulations to Cam. It'll be good for us. Him and I have gotten to develop a pretty good friendship, so we'll get to see him a lot during the hockey season. All right, Steven, anything in Vegas new and exciting on that end of it?
Yeah, we had a few signings this past week. One that people will be familiar with is Braden Pahal, who of course had been with the Henderson Silver Knights, was the captain of the team last season, but the Golden Knights have signed him to a 1-year deal worth $750,000. So it's possible that he'll be on the big club when the season starts. I guess that's usually what that means. But he last season played. He's played 137 AHL games between Silver Knights and Chicago when they were the affiliate of the Golden Knights, and so he's a good defenseman. Obviously, a good captain of the Silver Knights. So it's good to see him get a contract with the Golden Knights. Make that next step to the NHL,
which is the ultimate goal.
That's the ultimate goal, right? So there's that one, and then they also signed, re-signed Jermaine Lowen. The Silver Knights did. They signed him to another 1-year AHL contract, and of course, Jermaine Lowen. This is his 3rd season with the Silver Knights, 4th season in the Golden Knights organization. So he's been with the Golden Knights organization for quite a while now. He's had 97 career AHL games. He's between Henderson and Chicago. He's had 7 goals, 17 points. Here's the key one, though. He's had 201 penalty minutes. So he's a guy that, he's
the enforcer.
He's the enforcer, which every team's got to have one of those, especially at the AHL level. You see more of that, I guess, kind of hockey now. And so he's certainly that for the Silver Knights. And so it's good to see him get another year with them and an opportunity to continue to be in this organization and to see what he can do.
Absolutely. Nick, Kaprizov coming back? Is he back in Minnesota now?
Well, again, you have to tip your cap to the wonderful reporting that Michael Russo does with The Athletic. He's on top of it. Just a genuine, amazing human being too. Been able to interact with him multiple times throughout my years. But on top of it, apparently sources confirming to him and The Athletic that he is on Minnesota soil as we speak here on this Tuesday, August 2nd, which is music to everybody's ears, especially the Wild front office and owner Craig Leopold. Since it was reported that he had tried a couple of times previously and was denied at the port of entry, and then was able to go via New York this time, it appears. And I guess essentially starting out of Turkey, it sounds like. But nonetheless, Kaprizov and the worries that he will not be part of the Wild roster seem to be over. And that is fantastic news for all the hockey fans here in the hockey state.
Let me ask you this. What do you do with him in the future? Do you not let him go back to Russia? Do you make him stay through his contract here in the States? Or because it seems dicey every time somebody goes over there, whether they're going to be able to come back, whether they're a Russian citizen or not.
I don't know if you really have control over that, Scott. I think they attempted, not. Right, where there was not only with Kaprizov, but also Ovechkin and other Russian-born players. The same conversation was had was, we just advise you to not go back because it could jeopardize just with everything that's happening geopolitical, your return to the United States. And lucky for Kaprizov, and it sounds like there was a window of opportunity that opened up for him. And let's just say that, at least from the reporting from Russo, was that there was a lot of, I guess, pushing the narrative to get him over here because of the opportunity window that had opened up for him. But yeah, again, I think the only thing you really can do as an organization is say, hey, this is what could happen if you decide to leave. Now, granted, we don't know 12 months from now with things that are happening over across the Pacific Ocean are still occurring. All you can do is provide some advice and maybe some potential consequences and hope that the player makes the best decisions. Unfortunately, it's a right that he has. I know he's got family over there. His parents are there. That's tough too when they're halfway across the world. So it's not as easy as it sounds, but at least for right now, Kaprizov back on U.S. soil, and it sounds like we'll be safe to go for opening night here for the Minnesota Wild.
What's going on in Anaheim?
A lot of things. Pat Verbeek trying to confuse us on whether this team is a bottom dweller or maybe trying to sneak in as a postseason acquisition. How about this? John Klingberg inking a 1-year, $7 million deal, Scott. And this is interesting in a couple of levels. First of all, there's no question Anaheim had the cap space. There's still questions on John Gibson's future with the club. And with a team that's got some younger talent there, they've got some pieces, but still maybe some depth. And, just not that long ago, not qualifying Sonny Milano, a player that I think a lot of folks thought that he could at least get some kind of offer from the Anaheim Ducks, was left to walk to free agency. So this is an interesting move. It's a 1-year contract, so it's a low risk, high reward kind of offer for Anaheim. If maybe you make some noise, maybe John Klingberg signs long term, or at the worst, he's a good trade acquisition for a team that's pushing for a playoff spot. And for Anaheim, if you're maybe only retaining $3.5 million tops to maybe for the rest of one season, I don't know why you say no to that. So interesting move, and be kind of interesting to see John Klingberg next to Cam Fowler. I think that could be quite a dynamic duel unless they split them up. But some big news coming out there in the suburbs of Los Angeles, there in Anaheim.
Well, if they need some scoring punch, I saw one of their draft picks, Sasha Postchev, playing for the World Juniors, and I'll tell you, that kid turns it on when he wants. They were behind in their scrimmage, and he scored twice, set up the third goal to win it. He's a scoring machine, so maybe they'll make room for him, and maybe that'll ease the pain of the Sonny Milano loss. But the other thing is your Coachella Valley team has an ECHL affiliate. I reached out to them today in Kansas City. The Kansas City Mavericks now belong to the Seattle Kraken organization. I was not able to reach anybody today. Apparently they were gone for the day or whatever at their offices. But I thought, I'm going through there. I might as well stop and see. So we will dive into the ECHL a little bit too, because there are some local teams. And then there's Vegas, who sent theirs out on the East Coast for some crazy reason. I don't know. I thought Boulder City was a great place for the Bronze Knights, but whatever.
Oh, instead, it's the Savannah Ghost Pirates. Yeah. How about that name?
That name is pretty legit, I will say that.
Yeah, you gotta love
that.
Heck
of a name.
Speaking of names, Steven, you got a name for the Calgary team on the AHL?
Yeah, we finally have a name. I mean, we were wondering what it was going to be. They announced that today or this week. The Calgary Wranglers are going to hit the ice this fall. So they are going to be known as the Calgary Wranglers. They become the second team to don the name Calgary, following the Calgary Wranglers of the Western Canadian Junior Hockey League, who came to Calgary in 1977. The WCHL Wranglers played in Calgary for 10 seasons, graduating such Flames alumni as Kelly Kisio, Dana Muzirin, and Mike Vernon to the National Hockey League. So, of course, they are led by AHL Coach of the Year Mitch Love, Dustin Wolf, of course. So all the Stockton Heat people, of course, they'll be, of course, now Calgary Wranglers, as we know, Calgary moved it back up there. So the Calgary Wranglers, it's going to be people in Vegas, when they hear Wranglers, it's a name here that we're familiar with. We had an ECHL team in Vegas called the Las Vegas Wranglers for 11 years. And so we're going to have a Wranglers in the AHL, in the Pacific Division. So
And at least Colorado knows who they're playing now. They're playing the Colorado Wranglers to open their own season.
And it makes sense. And it makes sense because Wranglers, it's kind of like a cowboy. You got the Calgary Stampede, which is a big deal up there.
I get it.
There's a big thing with that. So it's good. It's good that we finally have a name right now. We don't have to just joke about. We don't know what we're called. now we know what they're going to be called.
But Stephen, what's the jean market like? Because Wranglers, I mean, come on, aren't they like, the best pair out there? Are we getting free jeans out of this?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Oh, I'm a Levi's guy, but I like.
Of course he is. Anyway,
I do own a pair of Wranglers. I did buy a pair of Wrangler jeans recently because I didn't get a chance to get Levi jeans, but I usually will wear Levi jeans. So,
all right, good stuff. All right, let's take a quick break. Let's come back and let's break down some of the arenas that will be covering teams in this year. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
The NCHC, where the best in college hockey compete, and the numbers back it up. In the past 8 years, 6 teams in national title games that are run of 4 consecutive national championships, 2 Hobey Baker winners, and 46 All-Americans. More than 70 alumni in the NHL with multiple Stanley Cup champions. A leader and innovator in the sport, including a one-of-its-kind pod. One conference, creating champions and improving the game. This is the NCHC.
Really, JR? You think you can still do this?
I'm focused.
You're way too old to hit that target from there.
I've been listening to everything you said. It's been running through my head, locked and loaded.
All right, still got it. Still got it.
Who's old now?
More than 140 live games from the nation's best college hockey conference. Ready for you wherever you are, however you want to watch. Your favorite team is on NCHC.TV. On your phone, tablet, or stream to your TV. Subscribe now to watch the best in college hockey at NCHC.TV. If it's NCHC hockey, it's on NCHC.TV.
All right, welcome back in, hockey fans. Pro Hockey West Report, episode number 5. Scott Strandy with you in Denver, Colorado. To my left, to my right, I should say, is Nick Maxon. I don't know. Depending on how you're looking at it. Somewhere on the top next to me is Nick Maxon. Below me is Stephen Marsh. We've got you covered tonight. We're going to break down the arenas that we're covering in. We're kind of doing this in some sort of order, folks. So if you've been watching previous episodes, we talked about the rosters for a week. Then we talked about the schedule for a week. So now it's time to talk about some of these unique venues that we're going to see out west in the AHL. And Nick, let's start with you. Who do you want to pick? You got 3 of them.
You know what? Let's start with the San Diego Gulls and Pechanga Arena, or as it's known locally, the Casino.
Yeah.
So built in the 50s, so it's a bit of an aged building, but for Pechanga, holy cow, 16,100 for a seating capacity. It's just north of the San Diego airport. Pretty nice venue, actually. So it's right by SeaWorld, right down on Interstate 8. So for me, when you're talking about San Diego, they draw pretty decent crowds there. Again, you're talking about an arena that hosts not only AHL hockey, but we're talking WWE concerts. I mean, apparently the sound system in there for all hold of this has actually been kind of upgraded in the last, was it $5 million about 3-4 years ago, in renovations to kind of address some of those aging infrastructures. But other than that, it's pretty nice arena from what I've seen. So, Scott, because you're putting me on the punch here, have you been inside Pechanga Arena? And for the fans who want to maybe catch a Gulls game, what could they expect down there in the great old city of San Diego?
Well, I've been in there one time. It was a long time ago. I do remember it being extremely loud. The acoustics are pretty good now. The sound system, I guess, has been upgraded, as you mentioned. But they're rabid fans. I mean, they love their San Diego Gulls, and they travel well. I know Steven mentioned that on a previous show, that they do travel as well. So expect them to not only have the home ice advantage when they play at Pechanga, but also expect them to take that on the road. And as we've talked about, guys, the AHL Pacific Division is really almost a bus league if you take out the 2 Canadian teams, because Everything's so close, and man, cost-wise, the owners have to be loving that.
Yeah, I would 100% agree, and especially with COVID, right? I mean, COVID, I think, shook a lot of the financial pictures up from all sports leagues, and we saw that in college hockey, we saw that in the NHL. We just saw how much those travel expenses add up. And Scott, anytime you can take an expense and, well, either take it away or at least reduce it, it's good for the ownership group and maybe your shareholders, right? So. You mentioned a bus league, again, Coachella Valley coming into play. We're going to talk about them a little bit later and their new venue as well. But I mean, the proximity with all these arenas that we'll be talking about tonight really does help with that travel. And it's good for the players, and the staff too, because again, there's nothing worse than, going and playing a very difficult 60-minute game and having a very long travel time back. So, I mean, having things this close by, I think is also great for the players. They're more energized, they're more motivated, which means the level of excitement, the level of play on the ice is even better.
Steven, you've seen the Gulls in action. Probably not at Pachengo, but you've seen them on the road. So your thoughts on the fanatics that are the fans of the San Diego Gulls?
No, I think you said it, and I said it on a previous show too. They travel well. You usually can see a group of them, and they're wearing the vintage goal stuff, and they love their team. From what I've seen on online when they play their games, they're into the game, and obviously it seems like a pretty raucous environment for an arena of that size and that magnitude. So that's good. I think what's great about this division is that. And I think when we've talked about the traveling and everything, I think that's why you see a lot of the schedules at this level, at least mostly divisional schedules. We're seeing some out of division schedules this year, but it's mostly divisional opponents that you play. As you mentioned, everybody is sort of bus length. I even think Colorado might be the exception too. They're usually flying there. I think you could bus there, but I think there are a capability to travel more. Some teams may do that by playing more, but certainly the California teams are all within busing distance. Certainly you can get to Vegas pretty easily. You can get to Arizona pretty easily. Colorado's probably playing, obviously, the two Calgary teams up there. But yeah, I mean, but it's all pretty easy. Even if you're flying there, it's pretty easy flight. Usually not more than a couple hours or so. So that makes it easy too. It certainly helps with the cost there, and probably help with the fatigue factor. There's not as much of that.
Without a doubt.
And sometimes you see back-to-backs where you're playing a home and a home, where you play a home one day and then you got to go to California or wherever and play there the next day. So that could be wearing, but because of the close proximity, you're able to do things like that. So, but yeah.
Yep. Good stuff. So the other thing with San Diego that I really like is that there's a growing collegiate base there at San Diego State. They have a very nice arena on campus at San Diego State. They're going to ACHA D1 this year. But I think that San Diego market for hockey is starting to boom. And Nick, we'll get you out there this year many times, I'm sure, and you'll be able to give us an idea of what you see going on in San Diego. But I think that's a market that's just ready to explode.
Well, and they get to before Nick gets in there. It's a good market, and they get good support from the Ducks. And I know that a lot of the Ducks games are on the Valley Sports San Diego.
Yes. Yep.
So they get the games down there in San Diego, which is important. And I think that helps build the excitement of the organization and the Gulls fans be able to have a connection with the Ducks and obviously with the Gulls, and even though they're about an hour or so away from each other.
Well, Scott and Steve, as we mentioned, you were right. I think San Diego, in terms of the market, is ready to explode in hockey. And you mentioned San Diego State too, making one jump, again, ACHA Division I. Could you imagine maybe 10 years down the road if San Diego goes full NCAA Division I and you got Arizona State nearby, maybe UNLV nearby, maybe UCLA? You could
don't get Scott too excited now.
I'm not trying to do any teasing here, but you talk about what it would take to have a sustainable college hockey scene, and it takes a couple. You have your cornerstone in Arizona State, the one that's going to be sort of your leader, the one that is going to show the financial route to get there. And then you just have to have others that come on board that create that competition. And again, California, they've already got 3 NHL teams. They've got multiple American Hockey League teams that we've seen. It's a saturated marketplace if you really think about it. The next step is for college Division I hockey. And I think that's where you really start to cement the roots of a game, is when you can get those youth development leagues cemented into the culture. And so, again, it's ready. Do we think that the colleges are ready just yet? Maybe not yet, but when it does, there's already a fan base, there's already support for it. And I think there's a very high level of success if and when they decide to pull that trigger.
And San Diego State plays, I believe, plays at least one of their games. I mean, they play, but they play, I believe, at least one or a few of their games at Pechanga Arena. So they already play. They play at least some of their games there, so they already are familiar with that venue and be able to work with that relationship there.
Let me tease and then put some water on the fire that I start. Okay, I believe in NCAA hockey. You guys know I cover that pretty extensively out here in the West. Nick does as well, and the great upper north.
Yes.
And by the way, I did see Pierce, and he looked really good this camp, so he's going to be a factor. I just want to throw that out there. Anyway, if we talk the growth of NCAA hockey, this is the way I see it. I see UNLV next year making the jump. I see 2 years after that, Oregon making the jump. I see a couple of years after that, San Diego State making the jump. So I see those 3 coming into play rather quickly. I think the NCAA teams in Alaska and I think Arizona State are waiting around. I talked to we had the coach from Alaska Fairbanks on, and he basically said they signed 2 and 3 year deals with teams to play home and home over the next couple of years, because I think they all anticipate a realignment of NCAA hockey and growth. So they're thinking ahead. Now, let me put a little water on that fire I just started at San Diego State. Stephen and I had the head coach on from San Diego State about 2 months ago. That's a very difficult school to get into. I did not know that, but it's incredibly difficult. So to get a hockey player in there, it's not like, oh, yeah, you're a great hockey player, you're on. No, you got to get through the academic part of it as well. And that is a little bit of a hindrance as far as getting players. I'll also throw out the fact that I was at Adrian College this weekend, and the enrollment of Adrian College is 2,000 people. They have 7 collegiate hockey teams. They have 4 synchronized skating teams. They have 1 sheet of ice. It's used almost round the clock during the hockey season. So go figure, 20, let's say 25 guys to a team, guys and gals to a team, and then you look at an enrollment of 2,200, that's about a third of their enrollment play hockey in this very small community of Adrian. And not only do they play hockey, but they win at hockey. And I joked with the student that gave me a tour, because I said, on the way out, you look above the doors and it says, in pretty bold letters, it says, another Bulldog victory. So they don't expect to lose many games, certainly at home. So that's kind of a fire started and some water poured on it. All right, Stephen, who you got? Who you want to start with?
I'll start with a building that's been around already, because I'm going to have 2 fairly new buildings coming up here in a minute. I will do Mechanics Bank Arena, which is the home of the Bakersfield Condors. And I have had a chance to visit there, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but a little bit of information about it. It's located right in the downtown Bakersfield area. It was opened up in 1998. It was known as Rabobank Arena for a long time. That's how I kind of remember it from the ECHL days. But now it's Mechanics Bank Arena. It's home, of course, of the Bakersfield Condors, which have been around since 1998, going back to WCHL and the ECHL days, and of course now the AHL. Also home presently of the Cal State Bakersfield Roadrunners, of the ACHA, the Cal State Bakersfield team there, the ACHA Division II team. So that's their home as well. So pretty cool there. So it's exciting. It also hosts wrestling, other things. It's about 8,000. It's about 10,000 seats for when there's a there's a concert there. I think it's about 8,000, 9,000 when it's for hockey. So yeah, I mean it's got a convention center part of it too. So they've got a lot of conventions and stuff that go through there. I think it's kind of probably similar to Tucson's arena, where it's also a convention center as well. But yeah, they host a lot of stuff there. From they've had NBA preseason games there before. They had an ECHL All-Star game there before. Of course, they have Disney on Ice, everybody's favorite kid thing, figure skating stuff. So they hold a bunch of different things there in Bakersfield there, and as things roll through there. But as far as the venue itself for hockey, it's a great place. I went during the COVID season, the 2020, so it was hard to kind of gauge how it is truly. And I just remember before COVID a little bit, just watching from afar, they can be pretty good crowds there that support their team there in Bakersfield. I said Bakersfield as an organization has been around since 1998 there, so they love their hockey there in Kern County. But when I went there, of course, there were still restrictions about how many people you could have in there, so it wasn't a whole lot of people in there. And I think since we've seen the pandemic, and I think we're starting to see some rebound, but it is still affected the size of some of these venues in regards to getting crowd sizes. So hopefully, as we go now into even more normal than we were last year, we'll start to see these crowds return to these venues. But it's a great place. When I went there, I got lost trying to get to where I needed to be, but that was because I went in the back way, obviously.
What I remember about you being there is we did a podcast from there, and it was screeching loud in the background. It was a difficult task. So
it was. Trying to do a live podcast in a loud hockey arena is probably not the best idea unless you have like the noise canceling headsets or something. I was using my headphones, so it wasn't. But I'm looking forward to trying to check out a game there again. It's about a 4-hour drive from Vegas. Again, it's pretty centrally. I mean, the other California teams, it's not too far for them to get there. So it's a pretty good location for them and for other teams to get there. It's not too extensive of a travel. You see a lot of windmills between the drive from here to Bakersfield. That's for sure.
Wind farms.
Wind farms, absolutely.
Anyway, I will say that the Bakersfield Condors have fielded a very good team. Of course, the affiliate of the Edmonton Oilers. So their farm club has been strong. So, okay, let's move on. I will tell you about the Tucson Arena, the home of the Tucson Roadrunners, the affiliate of the Arizona Coyotes. And Tucson Arena, again, about 7,500 people, an older but yet not out of date arena, if you will. It is a convention center. People know that if you go there, one of the things it's known for is an international gem show that comes in. I believe it's every January and takes over the place for 2 weeks. Can't have any home games for anybody. It's also the home of the Arizona Wildcat ACHA D1 team, at least for a couple more years until their new building is built. And it was retrofitted, if you will, for AHL hockey when the Roadrunners came in 6-7 years ago now, to make it more fan friendly, if you will. They did some different things with the upper level, like a performance deck, if you will. They did some different things with locker rooms and weight rooms to make the AHL team feel at home right there. A little surprised on my end of it, guys, that the Arizona Coyotes didn't choose to go there until their quote-unquote new arena is built, as opposed to the Arizona State Arena, because it's another 2,500 people per game. I mean, that's like 50% more than you could get at Arizona State. And
yeah, but the location, I think, is a big factor, right? Because Tucson's further, it's 2 hours south of the Phoenix Metro Tempe area, right? And so
it's 90 minutes, but it's not, it's not terrible. But when you think
traffic though, right?
not there, not too bad going that way. Much easier than going from Tempe to Glendale. Let's put it that way. But the other thing I would say about that is that they have their affiliate there, and we've seen a lot of places like San Diego. San Jose. Had their share of building. Toronto shares a building. Winnipeg shares a building. So
Calgary
I don't know why.
share.
Yeah, I don't know why that didn't appeal to them more. Nick, you have any thoughts on that?
You kind of wonder what the broadcast capabilities are too, because the NHL, everything is so grounded in terms of there's such a standard for everything, and you kind of wonder if maybe there was some, whether space or broadcasting requirements, and you talk about just the wiring and some of the triax cables. I know Stephen, you may know exactly what that is. As far as controlling certain of the camera equipment and whatnot, that's all incredibly expensive per linear foot. So you kind of wonder if maybe.
But how are they going to do it in a college? How are they going to do it in an NCAA rink?
Because it's a modern building. That's why.
Yep.
It's a modern building. That's already wired for it.
And it was retrofitted for them already in the building process. So Arizona State will benefit in the long run on that. But
yes, they will.
Yeah, that could very well be the reason why they didn't go down there. But gosh, I mean, and I don't want to get too far off on a tangent on this, but when you look at what the Coyotes are getting at Arizona State, it's nothing. Like they're getting a shared logo. Finally, that was approved, a shared logo at center ice. But they're not getting any board signage. They're not getting anything. So I don't know how with 4,700 seats you're going to be able to survive very long, much less 4 or 5 years that it may be, if this new arena gets approved and it gets built before you're able to move in there. I mean, are you not going to be bankrupt by then?
I'll just finish up with this, Scott, to keep it really short. But, I think the fact that there is no arena secured right now, I think plays a big part into the leverage for the Coyotes. I really do feel like that's part of it is, why are we approving all these, extra things that are going to make you money when we don't even know if you're going to be here for the length of the agreement. I mean, imagine if at some point in the next couple of months that the city of Tempe comes back and has struck down the arena proposal. We're talking a whole different set of circumstances in the conversation moving forward. So you kind of wonder if because we just don't know the future of the organization, if that has played a part into maybe some of those possible revenue sharing opportunities for the Coyotes.
Yeah, I think they're strictly tenants, and I think it was laid out to them that way that they would be tenants as long as they're there. But okay, who you got next, Nick?
Let's start with the, let's continue with the Ontario Reigns of the AHL affiliate of the Los Angeles Kings. So pretty nice building, actually, from the outside. Very, very nice building. Pretty new as well. Opened in 2008, $150 million building cost. They are operated and managed by ASM Global, the same operator that goes just to our south, the casino there in San Diego. Just over 9,700 seats to watch a hockey game. A few luxury suites here and there, but more importantly, you talk about and maybe it's the California thing, Scott. They love their entertainment, and it must be a music thing because again, they house the Ontario Clippers. Again, the minor league basketball field of the Los Angeles Clippers, also the Ontario Fury, which is an indoor soccer league. So it's a busy building. There's concerts there. From what we hear, no pun intended, the sound system has also been wired pretty well for those concerts. So what a building, honestly. If you don't want to venture downtown to the former Staples Center, now Crypto.com arena, that's going to take me a while. We'll probably stumble over that just every now and then. But if you still want to watch a good quality hockey game and a very packed cupboard in terms of a prospect pool for the Los Angeles Kings, why not take the family down to a nice, good, cheap ticket for at the Toyota Arena and watch the Ontario Reign? It's a beautiful building, a really nice, good club that's going to be playing on it. Why not? This is a great venue.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, and I'll say it right at the get-go. I was there for the playoff series, although it only was one game between Colorado and Ontario this year. When I walked in and I showed pictures, I think Stephen and Paul Hornstein, my co-host on Tuesdays and Sundays and Mondays and whatever it is. Anyway, when I have Paul on, I showed him, he goes, wow, that place is way too big for AHL hockey. Yeah, it was pretty big. That was playoffs. It was still pretty big, but that's not the only reason it was built, as you touched on, Nick. It was it's a concert venue. I'm sure they packed that place for that. And you know what? My thought always is it's nice to have too big in that environment instead of too small. The last thing you want is people that want to get into games and can't get there.
Correct.
Stephen, your thoughts on Ontario?
Yeah, I mean, that building's even been around since the Ontario Reign were in the ECHL. So, I mean, you talk about the same size. And then, of course, then they became the AHL team. And then, obviously, that's where they are now. And It's a great venue. I've driven by it my trips to California. And I've seen it. I took a couple pictures last year just on the outside, and it's a very nice building from the outside. I have not been to it inside. I've seen obviously it on online and on games that they've played and stuff. And it's a looks like a great venue, right there in the Inland Empire there in California. So it's a great location. You don't have to go deep into heart of LA to see a hockey game. You can go to the Inland Empire, and I think that's how they brand that there. They can get affordable hockey there in the Inland Empire, and it's a great little way, or whatever else they have going on there with all the stuff that they have going on there, and yeah, the size of it, they can get more stuff in there because the size of the arena, they can get more stuff in there other than just small scale stuff. They can get the bigger things in there, like concerts and stuff. So it's a great venue, and the Ontario Reigns, the fans, they do like their hockey again too. That's why we keep saying about this division. It's just so many great venues, and so it's competitive every place.
Okay, so who you got next? We got to get them all in here. We got another 19 minutes. Let's get them.
Yep.
Let's get them in.
All
who
right.
you got?
Well, I'll talk about the Dollar Loan Center in Henderson, which of course is a fairly new building for the Henderson Silver Knights. This is their the former Henderson Pavilion. Of course, it was opened this past March. It also hosts the indoor football league team, the Nighthawks, which is also part of the Golden Knights umbrella, Bill Foley brand. Also, now the Dollar Loan Center is getting quite busy because it's got Big West basketball tournament in March. It now hosts it's going to have an NBA G League team, the Ignite, which is moving from the Bay Area to Henderson. Of course, it's got the Henderson Silver Knights there as a major part of it. So it's a busy building. It's going to be about 5,567 seats. So it's not overly big. It's very intimate. You come in from the parking lot. You come into the arena. The concourse it's pretty narrow. It's not like there's not this big space thing, and then you get to your seats pretty fast. Every seat in there is pretty intimate. It's not really a bad seat in the house, even if you sit in the quote unquote nosebleeds. Everything in there is medieval themed. They were able to do that. You've got the chambers, which are basically their version of club seats or club seats, and so that's exciting. And it's great there, right off of the highway, basically off in the heart of Green Valley area in Henderson. And it's a great venue. Silver Knights had about 10 games in it last year. They're going to have a full season in it this year. So it's going to be exciting to see it packed with all those Silver Knights fans and what they can do there, because we know what the organization likes to put on a show, and we know it will be with Silver Knights games this year there at Dollar Loan Center.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, my thoughts on Dollar Loan Center is I can't wait to get there. I think it's going to be exciting. I was around it. I got a peek inside of it this last spring. Games were over with, but they got a nice pro shop, which is cool. That's how you make money, right? Selling apparel and all that good stuff. And parking is good. I love the Toyota.
They have a restaurant there too. They have a restaurant there too, the Craggy Range. Also, the Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame has a permanent home there, which is a big deal here in Southern Nevada with all the inductees here. And you go in there on the concourse, you can see the plaques and the names of different sports figures here, whether it be teams or individuals that have been inducted into the Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame, which again is a big deal here. So they have a permanent home there too. And it's also a working Dollar Loan Center too. You can go there and go with Dollar Loan Center and get a loan there. So that's important too. So
Nick, your thoughts on the Dollar Loan Center?
Again, I love the connection of the theme, and I'll keep this quick, but, from the Vegas Golden Knights to the Henderson Silver Knights, the medieval theme, I just love how they just attack every little detail with the medieval theme. I think it's fantastic to see somebody execute, almost a brand to that degree of detail. I don't know how else to describe it. It's fun. I haven't personally been out there. From everything that I've heard and described, I've heard it's just almost, T-Mobile Arena 2.0. So I can't wait to go out there and experience it myself. And, at the end of the day, the venue brings out so much of the experience and the connection with the team. And if you can really set the stage before you even reach your seat, which it sounds like the Dollar Loan Center is doing, that sets up for a lot of, good, passionate fans that love to come back and see a game, especially if you have a good team on the ice.
Can't forget about Lucky. and you can't forget about the mascot, and you can't forget about Harold the Town Crier, a big staple of Henderson Silver Knights games, and when every time they score a goal, he gets on the bugle or whatever you call those things, and he does his thing announcing the goal the only way Harold can. So that just adds to the fun of the Silver Knights games there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that leaves me with the Budweiser Event Center, Loveland, Colorado, the home of the Colorado Eagles. If you were to go there now, you'd go play hockey here? What? Because it's flooded with events, everything from weightlifting to concerts to comedy tours. I mean, they put everything in there. They do a fantastic job. It's at the ranch, they call it, the whole area where they have the Larimer County Fairgrounds and the fair and all that on the grounds around it. I like it because it's right off the freeway. If you're driving up I-25, you just take an exit and you're right there. The other thing I really like about it is it's a standalone, but there's a huge Embassy Suites hotel. Yeah, free plug, Embassy Suites, right across the parking lot. So there's always places for people to stay, and it's not far to the restaurant. So Stephen can attest. I walked at midnight one night from the Budweiser Event Center, about a mile and a half, to try to get to my hotel in March. It was cold. But anyway, Budweiser Event Center, about 7,000 or so plus for hockey. The Eagles make it a home ice like no other. The cowbells come out every home game. The in-game performance is really good as well. It's not as flashy as what you're going to see in Henderson or Vegas, but it's traditional, right? And it's housed a lot of different teams. It's like 25 years now of professional hockey up there, something like that. So they've had a chance to get their feet wet. The other thing the players will tell you about the Budweiser Event Center is it's a spot where it has their own fan base. It's 60 miles north of Denver. So while people know about the Avalanche, obviously, they go there to support the Eagles. And so does the community with their advertising. So it's a lot of fun. Nick, your thought on the Budweiser Event Center?
Well, I remember the interview we did back a couple of weeks ago and talking to, the director there of fan engagement, I believe is who we talked to. From everything that he told and all the stories that I hear, holy cow. An arena that's easy to get to, so right off the highway, easy parking, great concessions, I hear. And then also, taking that production level too. Again, almost, I keep giving the Vegas Golden Knights a lot of credit, but their production crew is unbelievable from game in and game out. And I think you can see a little bit of that flair from the Colorado Eagles, especially some of the video that you pulled. They really do like to make every detail of that game, whether it's a goal, a penalty, you talk about it, and there's some kind of a production to it as well. And, as adults, I can appreciate, but I mean, imagine what the kids feel like,
they love it.
They love it. And especially for me, I remember when the AHL Energy Center was built here in St. Paul, and it was the goal horn. And I'll tell you, just a real quick story on it. My first ever game my dad took to was during the inaugural season. It was against the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. So we're talking Paul Correa skating on the ice. And guess what? The Minnesota Wild lost 1-0 in a shootout, in overtime. I never got to hear the goal horn the first time I ever got into the AHL Energy Center. So, there's little things that matter, especially to the young fans. But I'm not sure, because it's not the goal horns, Scott, that I hear that is ringing the loudest. It may be something else inside the Colorado Event Center. Am I right on that?
Steven, can you attest to that?
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you because I think I still got the cowbells ringing in my ears from May when I was there for the Silver Knights and the Eagles series. But if you need more cowbell, which I don't know how you need more in that place, but if you need your cowbell fix, get yourself to the Budweiser Event Center this season, because you'll get it there in the Eagles, especially in the playoffs. It was really raucous in there, and I'm sure it's like that even in regular season games, which makes it fun. And I believe for a while there, and I think they had a distinction of being they had a long streak of being sold out in their games. This is back to the ECHL days, back to the league they were in before that, and even now in the AHL they would sell out every game. And it's not a very big venue. I think 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, whatever it is. That's so it's and not much more you can do in that area. So it's exciting for the fans to be able to get behind the Eagles and really support their team. I think they really were hurt during the COVID season because they didn't have any fans, and I know so this last season. I think that's really what maybe took it up a notch for them is they could go back to watching their Eagles play, and I think we saw that across the league. But they were one that had no problem getting fans coming back to their games because they came out in droves, and certainly was the case in that playoff series and throughout the entire run last year in the playoffs. So kudos to the Eagles fans and to the Eagles.
All right, Nick, this is for you missing the goal horn. Hopefully you can hear this. That's a train horn.
My heart is full, Scott.
That's a train horn from Missouri State. I loved it so much when I was down there. I recorded it. We throw it out every now and then on the podcast, and everybody freaks out when they hear it right away. So, yeah, anyway. All right, Steven, you got one left. Who do you got? Your turn or is it Nick's turn? I forgot where. No, it's Nick. Nick's got one left.
I got one more, and this is a venue that none of us have been to. In fact, I think I'm safe to say that nobody really has been to yet. This is the newly still under construction AHL Arena. Again, a future home of the Coachella Valley Firebirds will host its first ever home game December 18th. So until then, the Coachella Valley Firebirds on the road quite a bit. But some quick facts about this new arena being built. So right off of Interstate 10, so again, you talk about accessibility. This arena will be very easy for their fans to access. Revised, this has been updated. So for a hockey capacity, 10,100 seats for AHL Arena. That's a lot.
That is.
And a couple design elements, maybe mid-century modern is the interior design theme. That is going to be fantastic to walk into if you're a fan. Just very, very much attributed to the area. So that'll be fun to see. A little bit more of like a modern twist to it's just California how they do things, right? They just love to take things up to the next level. Other things too, 36 private suites cantilevered above the lower bowl. So essentially, I believe it's the west side of the arena is going to have a giant video screen. There's no center hung scoreboard from what we can see on the renderings. So just one big giant LED screen to the left, of course, with some ring beams, but then around the entire bowl is 36 cantilevered private suites. And again, you talk about mid-century modern, those will be very beautifully finished. Again, there's going to be a secondary practice rink also attached to it. So this is actually going to be a building that houses 2 skating rinks. And I believe the idea is to have not only for the Coachella Valley Firebirds, their practice rink would also do maybe some public skates, some learn to skates. And we talked about the broom ball, or I should say street ball. Like for us, it's broom ball up here in Minneapolis. But we're down here in California, it's street ball. To try to, again, grow the game a little bit. So beautiful arena, again, opening in December, still under construction. The arena cam is up. And right now, the lower bowl is completely, as far as we can see, it's concreted off. It's got all the stairs. And from what I understand, the first seat could be installed as early as next week, Scott.
Wow, exciting stuff. The desert, the real desert, the Palm Desert, is getting themselves a beautiful, kind of like a phoenix rising from the ashes. As they come out. So
did they build it with similarities between their arena and Seattle's arena? Is there similar in how they constructed?
As far as I can see, some design elements. No, again, it's Oakview Group. The big thing is, they took the theme. They really wanted to incorporate the community. They really wanted to pay homage to Palm Springs. I think again, you talk about the arena of the Climate Pledge. Excuse me, it took me a while. So I want to say this, a couple of other arenas in years past where the Seattle Supersonics used to play. That's not correct. But they really wanted to connect it to California, Steve. And so you could say it's similar because Oakview Group spared no expense in trying to make sure that this really was something that connected the residents to the community, to the team in that sense. But as far as other design elements, I would say, no, they're going to be very unique with each other.
Well, the thing of it is the Climate Pledge was a remodeled Key Bank, I think it used to be.
Key Bank, yes.
So they remodeled it and built it the way they wanted it. This is a brand new build, obviously, at Coachella Valley Indio. Okay, Stephen, you got 5 minutes to go with your final one. It's another new one, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. This is the Tech CU Arena, which is in San Jose. It's going to be the new home for the San Jose Barracuda. It is going to be completed this month. It's planned to be open in August of 2022. Let's see. It is. Let's see. When we look at it's got to. It's only got 4,200 seats, so the capacity is not going to be very big. So it should make for another intimate environment for an AHL game. Of course, this is an expansion of the Sharks Ice at San Jose, adding 2 recreational ice sheets to the facility. This expansion is going to make it the largest ice facility in the United States. It has a focus on green, which is, of course, big thing what California's going with there with the high-efficiency LED lighting, electric Zamboni. So that'll be interesting. Also, electric vehicle chargers. So it's going to be so Bay Area, Silicon Valley, that area out there. March 15th, the Technology Credit Union took over the naming rights in a deal that would last until 2032. So that's where you get TechCU. Wow. It's short for Technology Credit Union. It's also going to be the home of the Rookie Face-Off, which is coming up in September. So we'll all get a look at that if we all are there for that in September. It's also going to be the host of the 2024 AHL All-Star Classic as well. That was announced in May that it'll host that coming up in February of 2024. Of course, this year it's going to be in Laval this season, but next season the All-Star Classic will be in San Jose. So we'll get a good look at San Jose. Their first game, regular season home game, will be in October against the Henderson Silver Knights. So that's going to be their first ever regular season game. But again, it opens scheduled to open up this month.
Yeah, and that's interesting. If they had 500 more seats, they could be an NHL venue, I'm told. Yeah. Anyway,
if only Scott.
That's enough of that stuff. Anyway, it's exciting because we're getting all these new venues, but we got some really good old ones too. And I use old as a relative term, I guess, but I guess 50, 60 years old in San Diego is pretty old. I mean, that's me, basically. Anyway, I'm not old, though, guys. Come on, chip in a little bit.
Hey, Scott, you're not old.
Okay. I feel better now. Feel much better. Anyway, so the venues are going to be a big part of what makes our show go. We'll do a lot of features from these different venues as they get up and running. Of course, Coachella Valley will be a little bit farther down the line. The Dollar Loan Center will really get indoctrinated right off the get-go this year. And, of course, the Loveland and Tucson will have their events as always. And Ontario, what do you say? I mean, Ontario and Bakersfield. So we'll be out to see them all, and we'll bring it all to you as we go. Guys, any other closing thoughts? We got about a minute and a half. Nick?
To Beauty League, I think we need to touch on a little bit of the Beauty League. We'll be in attendance tomorrow night. I'm going to hope to try to grab some film of that great league. And for those who want to watch it, Flow Hockey, starting this year, has been broadcasting this. Just for those folks who don't really know, it's not really a competitive league. It's more of a what do you call it? A scrimmage, a 4-on-4 scrimmage. Again, we've touched on this in previous episodes. But again, if you're bored and you need a hockey fix, check out the Beauty League. And again, multiple sponsors. Again, when you talk about giving back to the to community and also building the game. This is essentially what the Beauty League is for. There's a mixture of both college and professional players. A lot of former and current St. Cloud State Huskies are on the current rosters as we speak. Also, a lot of Gopher flair, although we don't talk about that maroon and gold here very much here on, at least for my mouth. But check it out because, again, they support foundations such as the United Heroes League. So some veterans there also. So I believe some children's health initiatives as well. So every dollar that is spent on ticket purchases goes to these charities. And I think that's the biggest thing that I really love about this is that it gives it's what $15 a ticket. You go in, you get to watch 3 games. Again, 2 teams battling it out, quote unquote. It's only a penalty box in the entire game of hockey that has a keg of beer. This is a direct quote from the public address announcer. So check it out if you're bored. If you're online, also if you're in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, go and watch a game. Again, $15. It's a cheap ticket. It goes to a great cause. And so get out there and take a look at it. If you're outside of the Twin Cities area, check out Flow Hockey. They broadcast all of them. It's Monday and Wednesday nights that they are playing now because it's getting to playoff time. Yes, the B League has a playoff and they compete for the John Scott Cup, which is essentially a giant 55-gallon oil drum. Only John Scott can probably lift it. So wonderful time.
Love it. We'll look forward to seeing that. I can tell you one guy that won't be there is Bobby Brink, who just had hip surgery. Will be out for 5 months. So Denver Pioneer, Bemidji, Minnesota. Well, that's where his grandparents live. But anyway, Minnetonka. Anyway, so Bobby won't be there, but a lot of great players. We'll look forward to it. And Nick, look forward to seeing what you bring back for us next week. Until then, we'll say goodnight from episode 5 of the Pro Hockey West Report. Good night, everybody.